Hi guys, you're probably thinking about why am I making so many videos? Well, it's just that there's a lot of information that we should feel fortunate about sharing, and we need to move forward. But these are important things that are not necessarily in the textbook, which I always like to do. One of the things that we talked about, okay, is that people think that millennials are not as happy as other generations. There is a truth to this, um, and there are some theories. When I say there's truth to this, that they've made analysis of depression and has gone up with the millennials, and there could be certain things that could be affecting it. This is just just one research that says that some of it comes from parents bringing them up in a different way. That means, for example, me, as Dr. Vogel, bringing up my kids in a way that is not as effective as in the past, because I am Generation X, and I have kids that are millennials. So the research says that I did something wrong here, or we did something wrong here. Also, technology, you'll see why. I mean, technology is supposed to be good, right? Well, not necessarily, depending on how you use it. And there's ways that the brain is affected by the way you use technology. We also think that there is a component of being impatient, and there's also this has to do with technology. We'll see why, um, and also the corporate environment um, is not very companies are not that understanding of the needs of millennials. And again, as I said before, we need to work with millennials. We need to understand that the burden is not on the millennials themselves. It is on us, on the companies. Okay, I don't allow general managers or human resource managers to complain about millennials. I tell them, listen, this is what you got. You should work with it. Okay. Now, when we look at the strategies of bringing up your children that have been failed as a strategy, um, it's hard, but the research, the long, the what is it, the horizontal studies means throughout time have shown that the style of bringing up a child can affect their well-being in the sense of how they feel about the world. um, and we had a lot of literature. I remember my mom reading literature about how you should tell kids they're important, they're special, they're great. But you can't, the problem is with this part where it says all the time. It's okay to tell your kid, once in a while that they're special, that they're, great, everything. Um, Another thing is to be telling them that all the time, because it's not true. I mean, they do have other people that are special. I mean, you're not that special. I know it sounds bad, but I'll tell you, I'll prove it to you. You know what I'm trying to say. The other thing that all this bring up, or child rearing technology. If you go to just let me prove it to you for a second. If you go to Amazon and okay, Amazon, and I'll show you just what I mean. And this can show you. I mean, when you go to Amazon, you can. It's kind of also research, and you don't know it's research because depending on what people are buying, that's what it's interesting. And that's, for example, if I put the word right now, parenting. Okay, it shows about 70,000 hits for parenting. You see, what does that tell you? People don't know what to do with their kids. They don't, raising happiness, parents raising, parenting, what to expect when you're expecting. This is a classic one. Um, you know, I mean, come on, people just are lost. They don't know what to do to bring their children up. And then people are just making money by writing books pretending they know the answer. So the problem is that in the when the millennials were being raised, um, the what you would find here on the books was you should tell your kids that they can have anything they want in life. You all have The only thing you have to do is want it, and that's not true. It is true that you can have almost everything in life, but you need to do more than just want it. You need to work at it, okay? But they didn't tell you that, okay? Some people did. Um, then just look at, I mean, the high schools, for example. Uh, I remember when I was I'm not going to tell you well, but when I was in high school, to be in an honors class or an AP class or an advanced something, you have to be really good at it, okay? And if you find it today in high schools, everyone is in an advanced class, honors class, or AP or whatever. So what happens to that? I mean, if everyone can make it there, they're not that special anymore. And it was a result of parents saying, "Why is my kid not in the honors class?" Um, and that's a problem, okay? Because parents used to, now they're pressuring schools to have their kids in their honors. And you know what happens to honors class? They lose the honor by having everyone in there. Um, and parents, and this is research. It's not. I mean, they go to schools and they complain that why their kids are not getting hundreds, and the teacher has something against my kid. That's not true either. Then we get look at this one. This is an interesting phenomenon. You get like the participation things. Okay, an award that says you tried. Go, next time you're gonna do better or whatever. You know what? That's not really good because you know what happens when you don't get it. I mean, I'm sorry. The people that actually do deserve it, they feel bad that just someone that they didn't deserve it got it. Okay, so you devaluate the price itself. But we'll talk about that. Look at this. You get prizes for being the last one. I mean, how is that possible? This is catastrophic. Science tells us that you devalue the worth of the prize when you give it to everyone. Um, so the people that do deserve it feel that they're not getting anything really because they gave it to the last guy. Now in the real world, what happens? Um, People don't get that. I mean, if you're in a sales team and you're the last sales person, you don't get an award. Believe me, you get kicked out. Okay, and this is reality. So what happens? You've been all your life. You've been told you're special. You can have anything you want. You're an honor student. You get prize for being last, and then you come to the world of work, and what happens? They kick you out because you didn't meet the goals. So come on, that's a real shock. Now, millennials are not at fault. That's what life handed to them. So I want to make this very clear. I'm not blaming millennials. Neither should any company or organization blame them. It's just what happened to them. This is a phenomenon. Okay. Um, the other thing I want to talk about, okay, is okay. I'm going to summarize this. What happens when you go in the workforce? The first message that comes, you know what? I know your mom told you, but you're not that special. I hate to break it to you, but you're not that special. Now, from now on, you don't get any prizes being last. You can't have anything just because you want it. So what happens in an instant, your self-worth or self-image, it is completely destroyed. So no wonder that we have like depression. So it's a generation that is growing with lower levels of self-esteem than other generations. And by the way, the parents had good intentions. They wanted their kids to have self-esteem, but you don't do it by giving them stuff free or easy. And that makes what people know when they deserve something. Okay. Um, there's something that I do. In Facebook, people appear to be happy. And what happens? A lot of them are depressed. So when you see so many people are happy, and you're not, you ask the question, why not? Why not me? Why am I not happy? This contributes to depression in the sense that Facebook is not a realistic rendition or rendering of what people are actually going through in life. People will only publish positive things, which is okay. But what happens when you see something like that, and you see everyone laughing and celebrating and stuff, and you can't, then you ask the question, why not me? And that is depressing. So yeah, and spending more time in Facebook has been linked to higher levels of depression. Yes, this is, I'm not making this up. So these are just things so we know, and what the workforce brings in millennials. So we're going to call this part number 2, because there's other stuff that I want to go through. Because again, this is organizational behavior. If you can't understand how your people within your organization behave and why, then of course then it makes no sense to study organizational behavior. Okay, so we're trying to understand now the major force of the work market, of the labor market. Okay, and we need to understand. If we don't understand it, we're not going to be able to sell to them. We're not going to be able to manage them. We're not going to be able to make them happy, and we're going to have a whole generation that is lacking what we had. Okay, again, all generations have had their challenges. There's no magic trick or spell that you can. I mean, you have to study how they think. If I was in your case, for example, if one of you, as my students, ended up eventually being my boss, which happens, it happens. I can become your employee maybe in 20 years, I don't know. And you'll remember Dr. Vogel was good. I'm going to hire him to do that. Well, I'm going to be your employee. And guess what? You need to know that how I think, so you can manage me well. So it's not only one way, like we need to understand the millennials, but I think millennials should understand other generations like Generation X, even the other generations that are older than Generation X, like baby boomers and stuff like that, because we live in a world mixed with all kinds of different things. Okay, so thank you for sticking, just hanging around for this bullets of knowledge, and we'll call this part number 2.